Dave, while you're up there, let's just do one of the questions right away. Mr. Mirabito even spoke to this one, but this gives you a chance to say, what would you plan, or how do you plan to tax the natural gas companies or the property owners, and what do you plan to use the tax monies for in Pennsylvania? You know, there are going to be licenses and fees, permit fees, inspection fees. There's going to be all kinds of fees collected from these people.
Well, and that's a good question. I mean, we definitely have to look out for the interests of the district, and we have to be able to protect. We have to protect the people who have problems with some of these intrusions, let's say, on their properties. We have to have a certain responsibility with these companies coming in and doing the drilling, that they will do the right thing, and certainly if there's any damages that they should be responsible for repairing it. And I can't speak to the specifics, but let me just say about this. This gas drilling will be a bonanza for this area, and we need to take advantage of it to the very best of our ability. And any government obstacles, we have to know how to sweep them away and use good judgment and common sense while we're protecting the health and safety of the citizens. And we have to look at legislation. I mean, Gordon and everyone else here in the room, we don't know exactly how to specifically address some of these things, but we need to address them. We need to look at legislation. We need to protect people who have smaller, maybe more undesirable plots of land, for example, from not getting their fair share from the gas companies. And we don't want policies or legislation to interfere. And again, I can't emphasize this enough. We need to be sure that gas companies that are drilling are paying for any damages, but not at the expense of the taxpayer. And these decisions or influences must be more at the local level, not state, because we need to be able to control what we have here at the local level and not get the state involved, because government, its lowest common denominator, is best served locally.
Thank you, Dave. Mr. Mirabito, what's your answer to that?
Okay, I think it's really important to educate ourselves about what's happening with the gas. Right now, under a law passed in 1955, any revenues for gas found on state land in Lycoming County goes to Harrisburg. It was set up in 1955 for flood control, recreation, and forests. We need to change that law. We need to change it because at the time it was set up, it was a good plan to try to find a way to deal with those problems. Fast forward 50 years, now we have a huge amount of gas and we have a huge amount of problems that need to be solved. There is gas on state land, and the state is going to get 16% royalties on that land. Now, for years and years, the royalty level was about 12.5%. They have increased the amount of royalties. I believe that we have to organize rural Pennsylvania. There's gas under many, many counties in this state. We have to organize Republicans and Democrats in rural areas to fight to get some percentage of those royalties back to the local level for local control. What am I saying? Well, for example, if they pay 16%, what if 2% came back to the county and it was used under local control for either property taxes, infrastructure, any of the problems? But to do this, we have to look beyond Republican and Democrat. We have to get out and organize rural Pennsylvania, because for the last 20 years, what's happened in this state has less to do with Democrat and Republican and more to do with rural and urban, with dollars flowing to Pittsburgh and to Philadelphia. And I don't say that negative about Philadelphia and Pittsburgh. What I'm saying is we need to raise this boat up. When the boat of rural Pennsylvania floats higher, the whole state flourishes. We need to get out and get that message out so that the money in the gas stays, some of it stays here.
Thank you. We are going to be pleased to know, or you will be pleased to know, whichever one of you gentlemen do go to Harrisburg, that our Grange legislative director will be bringing Grange policy to you, which says the money you get from state leased lands should be used for state projects in the areas from which it came. Do you have another question, or do I have that one here? Each of you have addressed the one here regarding gas company money. Well, okay, what would you do? This is one that came from the senators too. What specific plan would you have to control the bureaucracy and consider rescinding unnecessary laws? David's up there.
Okay, unnecessary laws.
Well, those are my words. So those are for your discretion when you get there.
Well, let me just say that, yes, there are some unnecessary laws. Sometimes I believe it's best to think of it in terms of the damage that legislators can't do in terms of being too active in trying to aggressively make new laws and have government interfere in the process. If you're talking about laws, I think you also have to talk about taxes and fiscal responsibility. And that's an area that I have focused on for a long time. We keep increasing the budget, speaking of laws, that is just filled with all kinds of problems and waste. We have to address these areas of waste. And I mean, let's be specific about it. Let's isolate some of these areas like, the Liquor Control Board, Turnpike Commission, FIA, the big waste in state advertising and tourism and promotion and advertising for the lottery, and even some of these smaller areas that can't be overlooked, such as public service announcements that waste your money while trying to keep politicians in office. Bonuses, we've all read about the bonus problem in the newspaper. And even those nice calendars that people get at the end of the year from their legislators. I don't know about you, they're nice calendars, but I'd rather have the state save that money. Thank you.
I think the question is, what can we do to try to make government more effective and to cut the cost of government and to try to eliminate, laws that really are not working? I am a lawyer. I don't practice as a lawyer now. I'm a businessman, but I have practiced law, and I think that one of the things we have to look at is, are people participating enough in the process? A lot of laws are passed that we don't even know that they're passed, and I think that we have to take responsibility for the fact that we shouldn't just send someone to Harrisburg and think that they're going to take care of all our problems. We've talked about ways to save money. Right now, there are 3,000 employees who work for the House of Representatives, not counting the elected officials. 3,000 employees. We need to look at that and see whether or not we're spending too much money on bureaucracy. I think that it's a very broad question. I don't think it's realistic to say we're going to cut 2 laws for every law we pass. It's not realistic to go in with a chopping block. You have to go in with a scalpel. I guess what's important is having a commitment to trying to do right by the voters and by the citizens. And doing that involves so much more than just coming in with a hatchet to try to sit here and tell you that we're gonna knock out 20 laws. There is political patronage, and I'm getting the stop sign. But we need to look at the Turnpike Commission. We need to look at places like that where we have a lot of waste.